of all the different senses, sight, smell, hearing plays a major role in a fish's life. I mean, they rely heavily on sound in their feeding, in many different things that they do. And you know, I've even heard that there's some species of fish that emit sounds for mating, you know, during the spawning season.
I feel like fish communicate. And not only that, but you know, I think one of the most important things in bass fishing, or fishing in general, is sound. Because bass are predators. When they hear things, they go look. If they like, they eat.
That's right. In other words, any type of sound in the water, the curiosity level is there, and they make a move toward that sound. You know, the advantages of using stationary type sound with, as great as rattling baits are, they've got to move to create sound. They've caught lots of fish, and they'll always catch lots of fish, but when you can offer a fish a stationary sound, like the onliner or the talking jig, for instance, and you can keep it in one location, the fish detects that sound, and he begins a search pattern to locate the source of the sound. And by just remaining in one area, you know, it improves your odds tremendously of catching fish. And once he detects and finds the sound itself, then it's up to the fisherman to add the right action to the bait. And then the fish makes a final decision. Do I eat it or do I reject it?
That's right. You know, there's a lot of times I feel like when fish are around an ambush point, and yet they're out there a distance away from it, and when you can create the right sound, they're going to come to it.
Oh, there's no question about it. And you can imagine how many times, and I know you've done this, Larry, how many times have you flipped a jig or thrown a bait at an area and you worked it through there and you said to yourself, golly, I know there's a fish in there. I know there's a fish in there. And then after you make 4 or 5 casts, you think to yourself, well, is he there or isn't he there? Could he be there and he's just not, he just can't see my bait. But now, by putting sound to that and keeping it, as I said, in a stationary spot, you can draw that fish to the source of that sound.
You're
from back in
right.
real thick cover areas or low light conditions and deeper water. The units have got so many applications, it's unbelievable.
I think it's going to be a big asset in bass fishing.
Well, I tell you, you know, Larry, we've spent lots of time and many hours this past year testing both the talking jig and the onliner. And I'm going to tell you, as you well know, we've got some great shows in the can on both of these super new products. Tell you what, why don't we just give our viewers a sneak preview of some of the action?
Good idea, Bill. Folks, sit back and take a close look. You'll get a much better idea of how to fish the talking jig and onliner in several situations, and you'll see why Bill and I both are so excited about these new sound transmitting attractors.
Like I've said so many times, doing the type work I do has provided me the great opportunity to fish many different and exciting places and meet some of the finest folks on earth, fishermen. My job has also allowed me the pleasure of working very closely with my sponsors in testing and evaluating new products. And I get mighty excited when they ask me to experiment with something totally different that catches fish like crazy. So today, I'd like to show you one such product and demonstrate how and where to use it, as well as how effective it really is. It's called the talking jig, and it produces a low-frequency, intermittent clicking sound that's very attractive to bass. Weighing about 1/2 of an ounce, it has a 4/0 laser-sharp hook, a nylon weed guard, and a rubber skirt. Now, the body is made of a tough ABS plastic that has sound vents on the back, and it operates up to 30 hours on a small replaceable battery that fits neatly into a waterproof chamber in the head section. There you go. Whoa. Oh, look at this one. Oh, boy. Oh, I knew he'd be big when Oh, buddy. Come up here. Come on. Just let me put my hands on you. Right, come here. Come here. Big long rod, I can't. Woo! Boy, that's not a big fat baby, huh? Great day in the morning. You hear it clicking? Whoa. Look at that. Man, man, man. On this tail, you got anchor worms, I guess, on it. Okay. Wow! I'm gonna tell you what, this clicking thing is incredible. Unbelievable.
Oh, that's a pretty good one right there. Not a big one, but a nice one anyway. Barely got that one. Right in the corner of the jaw. Still a good one. Good fish. You know, when you're rigging your little onliner up in front of your lizard, a lot of times the length of that leader is real important in catching fish. And one thing that I found, if I'm fishing very little cover and the fish are real close to the bottom, then I do a lot better with a real short leader. You'll just get more bites on it if you keep your bait close to the bottom. Now, if you've got a little bit of grass or something sticking up off the bottom, go to a 3 or 4 foot leader. The taller the cover, the longer the leader. The more current you have, the longer the leader. But if you're just fishing them little hard places on the bottom, little short leader, about 10 inches.
The method for rigging a Carolina rig with your onliner is simple. First, place your sinker on the line. Second, tie on your onliner. Then, add a swivel to the rig. And finally, tie on a leader from the swivel to your hook, the length of which is determined by the conditions you're fishing. Remember, when fishing a hard, rocky bottom, use a short leader in the 10-inch range. When fishing in a current or a tall, grassy bottom, use a longer leader in the 3 to 4 foot range.
Sound is really important in bass fishing. If it brings a fish and puts him in the area that my lure is, then I'm going to do it. Ever since the very first rattle bait came out, I mean, back then I thought that something that made that much noise, it wouldn't catch a fish. But when I saw how many bass that thing did catch, wow. You go fishing in a creek. In fact, you know, one of the things that I notice most just fishing and watching the depth finder is how many fish actually come up off the bottom to look for that transducer. You can see them. And that's why I know sound is such a big attractor in fishing. And this new Strike King talking jig and onliner, you put that in front of your favorite bait, and it's going to make a difference, I think, in the amount of fish you catch. It's going to bring them over there to look at your bait anyway. I know that for sure. There he was. Oh, that's a big fish, too. Big fish. Golly, boom, that was a good fish. Look at the size of that one. Come here, you big galoot. I mean, got him right in the corner of the mouth. Look at that good fish. Ain't that a good one? That onliner called him right in. That sound, boy, that sound, big fish love it. I mean, he has got it. Isn't that a good one? Just let that thing lay out there in the bottom, calls him right in. That was a good fish right there now. Good fish.
I'm I'm sure you've noticed this little unit that I've got tied on my line. And if you haven't seen one, you're probably wondering, what in the dickens is it? Well, you could say it's a dinner bell because it's also an attractor. Now this one happens to be a small electronic transmitter that creates a low frequency clicking sound that fish, like the crappie, can hear up to 30 feet away. It's called a soundbite onliner. Wet it right here and listen to it. Hear that? It's emitting an intermittent clicking sound that's highly, highly attractive to fish. The onliner is water activated, meaning it only works when it's wet. And it operates up to 30 hours on a small replaceable battery that fits neatly into a waterproof chamber, and it weighs not much more than say a number 4 split shot. Oh yeah. Yes. A major advantage to the onliner is that it allows you to keep your lure in one small area while the unit transmits stationary sounds. Now this allows much more time for the fish to locate it. Now once he finds it, he then sees the lure and he makes a decision whether to strike it or not. And if the lure is appealing and worked in a natural manner, more times than not, he'll bust it. Look here. Come here. Fish looks like he's eating spawn, does he? I guess he has. God. Whoa, buddy. Oh. He's ill. He's ill. You ain't gonna throw it. Woo! Sonny Jim. Well, go on then. Ill thing. Oh, he was ill, wasn't he? You know, like I said, the particular bait that I'm using today, it's called a talking jig. And as you well know, a jig of this type can be fished in, through, over, and around nearly all forms of cover. So it should be obvious why one that emits an inviting sound while being fished very slowly in such areas can be and is so effective. Hey, Buster. What do you say, you little potted, fat little job? Huh? I'll see what you say. Come here. Boy, you talk about a gut on a fish. Great day. Look at that gut. Man. That's a good end. That's a good indication. Oh man, that hooked at you. There we go. Yes.
Good fish. Good fish. Come here. Yeah, gotcha. He didn't like that little thing ticking around in his house, did he? Boy, I mean, I hit him right in the front part of the lip. I can even hear it ticking. That was a nice fish. What little bit of wood cover there was, that's where he was. Could have been another one there too. I hate it when the wind blows me away from a piece of cover like that. You know, I think that's what makes flipping so interesting and so much fun. Is you just fishing close to the bank, up tight, close and personal with the fish, and you get to really see how fish relate to all different types of cover, whether it's wood, grass, docks. I mean, you really don't know. I mean, there's no such thing as they will not be on that type of cover. That just, I mean, it just don't happen. You can't really totally eliminate something on any day's fishing because, I mean, when you're flipping, you just fish everything. That's all there is to it. Just put the right bait on there and pitch and flip and swim. And I mean, it's not necessarily flipping. It's just a little bit of everything. Cast at it, swim your bait by certain targets, put it right in the middle of others. Really what you're doing basically is keeping your bait close to a target, close to a hiding spot. You make enough pitches in a day's time, you're going to get some bites. George, he was already there. Yep, he was already in there. Just took me a minute to find him. Yep, one was already in there. He liked that talking jig. Got a buddy in there. Just little places, little points like that. They create that, I don't know, it's something about that wind, the way that wind hits it. And the wind over the years and time, it just kind of washes a little cutout in there. It keeps the soft bottom cleaned out. And fish just love them kind of places. Another one of them spots, I bet I can come right back by there after a while and catch another one right there. Another little one. Not a big one, but a decent fish. Fall in the lake, Larry. Boy, did I ever have that little feller hooked. Listen to that. Think a fish can't hear that? I'll tell you right now, I feel like that's going to be a big help in catching some fish, and especially in dirty water situations where they have trouble finding it. I believe that talking jig's going to be a fish catcher now, and it's going to catch fish anytime, but I think there's going to be times that it's going to be the cat's meow now. Florida bass tend to hang more around little reed points, one little bush that kind of sticks out, a twig, a clump of grass of some sort. rather than bury up in stuff. Now they'll get under them little mats, them little points of grass. They'll bury just like a northern largemouth.
A little bit earlier, I mentioned that part of the rig that I'm using today has a sound device attached to it. And I tell you what, let's spend a minute and let me tell you a little bit about it. It's called a sound bite line device, and it produces a low frequency clicking sound that's highly attractive to bass. It is water activated. When it's wet, it'll click. When it's dry, it automatically turns itself off. Listen. The body's made of tough ABS plastic that has sound vents at the rear of the unit. What's so neat about it, it'll help the fish find your offering instead of the lure having to find the fish. Another benefit to this little guy is that it produces pulse sounds, and research tends to support that intermittent sound is better in provoking responses than a steady vibration. Yes. Oh boy, there's some weight here. Man. Boy. There he is. Oh. Woo! Boy, aren't you a pretty thing? All right, come up. Come up here. Come up here. Ah! Boy, boy, boy. That not something? Yes. What in the world are you doing? Here we go. Oh, boy, boy, boy. Boy, they get to shaking that head. Tear your bait all to pieces. Another thing about this rascal is that you can keep it in one small area for as long as you want, emitting its sound and calling the fish to it. Is that a fish? That is a fish. Oh man, is that a fish? Golly, that's a good one right there. Look at here. Oh. He's a big thing. Come on back here. Come here. Come here. Yeah, I got you hooked, but I can't get you for this long. Oh! Woo! Boy, 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 boy! Let me admire you. Oh, I keep on. Big goody thing. Oh, you're so special. I'm gonna let you grow now. Well, let me show you something you can fish during those conditions and keep your bait in one spot as long as you wish. The lure I'm talking about is a jig, but this jig, well, it's quite different than any jig I've ever fished. It's called the talking jig, and for good reason. It talks, or maybe I should say it clicks, even when you hold it perfectly still. Listen. Hear that little click? I want to tell you, never have I seen anything so effective and works so consistently. Yep, the sound produced by this little device will help the bass find your offering instead of the lure having to find the fish. Whop! Get out of that tree right there, buddy. Where are you going? Whoa. Look at him, just cruising. Can't throw it, can you? Come on back here. Come here. Easy, right up on my finger. There we go. Nice fish. Hear that? Potted thing. Okay. There you go.
In the program segments you've just seen, our hosts were using early prototype soundbite products, so the sounds made by the devices in this video may vary from those of the final product. Careful refinement through repeated and extensive field testing resulted in two distinct sounds which proved to be the most productive. The first of these, the sound produced by the black and blue talking jig and the soundbite onliner coated with the blue dot, is a more constant rhythm. Bill and Larry recommend this sound primarily for clear water situations and for fishing in open water. Here's an amplified sample. Now, you'll notice that the second sound produced by the black and chartreuse talking jig and the onliner coated with the chartreuse dot has a more frantic, erratic rhythm. This sound is recommended by our hosts for murky to muddy water and heavy cover situations where the fish may need a continuous sound to home in on. Of course, it's always best when using any jig to add a quality trailer for more visual attractability and buoyancy. It's also important to recognize that soundbite onliners can be used in conjunction with virtually any lure or live bait to attract any species of fish.
Well, there you have it. These two new products are absolutely, and I do mean that, they're absolutely remarkable. Don't you agree, Larry?
No question about it, Bill. Hey, we know how important sound is. It's very important in attracting fish. Now you got two new products that are definitely going to help you catch more fish.